Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fiji Forever, silent podcast, almost spoiler-free recap of Survivor Fiji. While we wait for Survivor 44 to premiere, I am spending the off-season recapping one of my favorite seasons of all time, Survivor Fiji. Today we'll be covering episode 9, Are We Gonna Live on Exile Island, which originally aired on April 12th, 2007. Joining me today are two of the most iconic podcasters that I know and an experts on underrated Survivor legends. The one and only, or I guess I should say two and only, Sam and Derek of the Bitter Jurors.
Hi, thank you so much for having
Hi.
us.
It
Yes.
it's about time. Like, you guys knew that you were going to come on because I can't do a season of a podcast without you guys at this point, but now it's official.
Oh.
And this is such a good episode for you two to be on because we haven't robbed goddess. I think this is we've had a couple robbed goddesses this season, but I think Michelle Yee, I can finally talk about how in my mind she is the certified robbed goddess of this season.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we'll get to it, but what were they doing? Why did anything in this episode happen?
Oh my god! But
Yeah, I haven't watched Fiji in a while, and so I was going through the episode thinking oh, surely they're gonna bring up Michelle as the target at some point in the episode, right? And then it just doesn't happen until 5 seconds before Tribal. Rough look for the Fiji cast letting go of this gem.
I know, and it was so rude. I didn't like that the choices were either Stacy or Michelle going at this point, and I have a lot of qualms about how they executed this, but this is very Survivor 41-esque, I will say. Before the new school era, Survivor Fiji walked so that the earn the merge phase of new school Survivor could fly.
Forget earn the merge. On Survivor Fiji, they don't even need to make it to the merge to be on the jury.
I know, right? They don't. Can we say some of these cast members really earned quite a lot of things in this season? It's very unbalanced. I still personally love it, but it's fun to poke at some of the obvious production flaws in here.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the new era has taught us that, clearly Survivor likes to take something that they did years ago and no one liked and are like, what if we did it again, but with a different branding to it? And then they wonder why we don't like it again the second time.
I'm really enjoying how, in this rewatch of Fiji, I am recognizing that Survivor, the 40s version of Survivor, has said, from Survivor Fiji, which we barely acknowledge as a season at this point, we will take the diversity and the not merge of that season. And those will be the two things, as if there aren't a wide variety of other things that they could be taking, especially since this is the inaugural Fiji season. All of the challenges so far, I have been such a big fan of. I feel like this one is a little more on the boring side, but some of the other ones that we have gotten have just been so fun to watch, even though I knew what was going to happen in those challenges, partially because Moto wins so many of them. But now we're kind of at a point where, this was not my favorite way to execute a divided tribal council, I guess. And especially, I think this is partially because of who goes home because of it. There are other players that if they had went home at this point, I would have said perfect episode, no notes. But where we are right now, losing Michelle at this point, when we were just singing her praises one episode earlier about just what an eye for the game that she has, is so heartbreaking.
Yeah, especially because I feel like honestly she's even more screwed over than the unmerged people, because if we had at least according to Earl, it was Earl, I think Cassandra, Yao, and Michelle. If the whole tribe had voted together like they do with the fake merge, then she probably wouldn't have gone home. She would have had her numbers there with her. It's just really frustrating that this happened here to someone who was clearly in a really good position.
honestly,
she was in with all the people.
She really was. And even in the midway point of the episode, when we get Earl and Cassandra having a conversation about how Cassandra and Michelle are the two most popular girls at camp at the moment because everyone is scrambling to secure them as allies at this point. And it's very sad that Michelle's journey ends here, but also that we didn't get a lot of her perspective, even in this moment where we're in such a precarious stage in the merge where the first vote kind of sets the tone, but also can make for some really shaky ground because everyone just wants to get through that first vote and have it not be them.
It's also tough for Michelle's edit that they don't get a chance to talk about or strategize what they're gonna do that evening. So like, there's no way to even show her like making moves or anything because she didn't have a chance to.
Yeah, that was the other thing I did not like, especially because we don't. So Mookie and Michelle know each other. Stacy and Alex know each other. Dreams know Stacy, but he would rather not know Stacy. And really the only connection that Dreams has with Michelle is what Mookie has told her about him or about her. And like the very little interactions that they had in the very beginning of the game and what they have gotten at the merge. So it's not a lot to go on. And I do have some comments about Dream's decision, which I have a little more insight on from some of his interviews after the season regarding his decision to vote out Michelle. But we will get to that a little later in the episode, I will say. It's definitely going to be addressed. And this is something that goes off of the edit, but I think it's important information to know that I'm not saying it will change people's perspective on the Michelle Yee vote, but it might add some more clarity to why Dreams decided to vote out Michelle over Stacy, who does not seem like someone that Dreams was willing to work with in the merge. Actually, quite the opposite. He was already talking about how he was so excited to finally have the opportunity to vote out Stacy. He has been waiting for this day.
And he was mad that they were bringing her in more than they planned to originally.
Yes, exactly. And that's another good point because Alex and Edgardo, what are you two doing at this point? Because it's like, it's one thing to have a side alliance from your main alliance. And in fact, because you have decided to have a 4-person alliance, this is Stacy's a very crucial number for those two. But to tell Mookie and Dreams that they want to pull in Stacy into this alliance as like a permanent number, like Mookie and Dreams are not stupid. They know exactly what they are doing in this equation. Like they are going to use her as an advantage for when they actually get down to 5 and be able to move forward with 3 together. Like it's like the simplest of Survivor alliance logic.
I am giving all 4 of the horsemen side eyes on this episode. I'm just like, what are any of you doing at all? Like nothing that anyone decided to do in this episode made any sense.
They were cracking me up. It was like very in the last episode of Real Housewives of Potomac, there was a similar situation where someone was told something in confidence, and then the next scene, that someone who was told something in confidence was like, "Hey, do you want to hear something I wasn't supposed to tell anyone to someone else?" It was very, very those vibes of the it was like on the raft. Suddenly, they're just like spilling all the tea. Oh, we told this person that you have an idol. Sorry, like
yeah.
I can't believe we did not. Why did Mookie tell Dreams about the idol? Like, we don't get any follow up. Like, we don't hear his reasoning. I don't think it's just like he just suddenly drops it in the middle of a conversation, and it's just like literally, what is the end goal here other than making Dreams dislike you?
Okay, I have 2 questions now going off of that before we get into the rules of this podcast specifically. But one is I want to run something by you because this is what I suggested last episode with how Mookie should handle this idol. Now, he has not had it for very long. He is very excited. You know, he has a new toy. He has not gotten to see the nice camp. We now learn that he will never see the nice camp because they literally sent them to Exile Island to take away all of their nice stuff. And now they're going to live on a bare beach again. But you know, Mookie is very excited. He has an idol. I love how Alex and Edgardo keep referring it as our idol. And Mookie's like, this is mine. This is my idol. I will use it as I see fit. This is for me. It is mine. I don't know Alex and Edgardo. Like, I don't know them. But, okay, I want to run this scenario by you. So
Okay.
I had said that in the previous episode, and now we can confirm how Dreams does find out about this idol. But my suggestion on the previous episode was that I think that once Alex and Edgardo had said they didn't want Dreams to find out about the idol, because they're already treating it as a group idol, which Mookie is very clearly letting the audience know that it is not, in fact, a group idol. But I said that I think once they established that this was supposed to be a secret between them three, Mookie should have pulled Dreams aside and be like, listen, they don't want you to know, but like, it's my idol. So I'm letting you know that I have an idol. And Alex doesn't, you know, and like they think it's for the alliance or for that group of three, but really it's for us. That's what I think Mookie should have done. And especially now that we have Dreams' reaction to finding out as late as he did, I think that I am more confident now rewatching this and seeing Dream's reaction that, yeah, they should have told him and Mookie should have told him on his own so that they could establish a next level of trust with each other.
Yeah, there's just almost never a reason in Survivor to expose new information to multiple people at one time. Like, always have these conversations one-on-one, and then you can like talk about the conversation with other people if you want to talk to them about the secret or whatever. Like, just don't. Why would you tell? Why? Like, I just would need to know why he did it in front of Alex. Like,
yeah,
what was the reason? Why?
Yeah,
Someone find Mookie and ask us for them, because I need to know why this was the time to tell Dreams about it.
Yeah, I want to give some grace to Mookie at least, because it's like we have what, like 3 seasons of idols to go off of. Like they don't really know what you're supposed to do with an idol. So I mean, at least it was funny TV. I can't hold it too bad, even though it's like awful gameplay. Like, whatever, it's funny to watch.
This is also the first season with multiple idols, and like the first season with idols of this kind. So I guess I'll give grace as well, but would love to have heard the reasoning.
But right. I don't fault him too much for those reasons, but in actuality, it just makes for much better television that he told him this way. So even if this was done like last season, I kind of don't care, because it's very entertaining to me, and that's what matters most in the grand scheme of things. And Dreams is quite a petty player, and I mean that in the best way. So you know that if anybody here is going to find out about an idol late, for our viewing purposes, Dreams is absolutely the best person on this cast to find out several days later.
Yes. I feel like in my first watch through, like Dreams didn't stand out. Like, obviously he's like a big character, but for whatever reason, he was never like, oh, my favorite. He was like cracking me up this whole episode. I think he was, obviously Earl's like very knowledgeable at the game and like talking through the game really well, and I love that about him. But then Dreams is like the other end of the spectrum, like just like pure like like just saying the funniest thing he can think of. Like, I love Dreams is such a hoot to watch.
Yeah, this episode and the last episode, I think, were really Dreams' comedic chops were on full display, because he had me cracking up last episode as well. And he was our winner of the episode that in episode 8. So, you know, I think very highly of Dreams, and this is one of the reasons why I am such a big fan of him. But before I get into the rules, I do just have one more question for both of you. 15 minutes in, you know, like as we do on these podcasts. But all right, of the 4 horsemen, we've kind of just been spending the past 10 minutes tearing them apart. I need to ask, what is our ranking of the Four Horsemen after this episode, after episode 9? So if I have to rank individually each player on whatever criteria you two want, it could be who you think is the best player, who you think is the most entertaining, who you just like better, or if you are watching this episode for the first time, which of the Four Horsemen do you think would go the farthest in the game? Like, any criteria that you want.
Well, I feel like as with all of my rankings, it's just pure vibes for me. Like, who do I like the most?
Vibes
really?
is important. Yes.
So yes. So for me, I would say Dreams won just because of the reasons I said, where he's just like really fun TV, fun to watch. Never a dull moment with Dreams. And then I would say probably, I feel like in this episode, Mookie, just because he is blundering around, like it's, entertainment factor there for Mookie. Alex and Edgardo. I'm kind of struggling with those two too.
They're interchangeable at this point.
I would say that
they're
Alex
both very
is
attractive.
that is so unbelievably true. But for me, Alex was like funnier to me because, like,
yeah, that's
he recognizes that his entire alliance is imploding, but at the same time, all he's doing is like hoping that everything's okay, and he's just like, let's just move on, like let's just keep going. And he's like just is trying to will with his mind everything being okay, even though like that scene on the raft, he was so funny because he was just like, let's forget about it.
Yeah, he's like, he had the Four Horsemen pass around one brain cell, and I think Alex is usually the one holding it.
That is true. They do have a singular brain cell within that entire alliance. I think that separately, some of them could be very competent players, but as a unit, it gets condensed to one brain cell.
Yeah.
It's just they're very and this was something that was upsetting me watching the episodes. Like they're very it's a very bro heavy season. I feel like when they're all together, they just can't help but go into sort of bro mode, and it is what it is.
Yes. Oh, it's so good. I think my personal ranking right now, I mean, obviously Dreams is first because one of my favorite players ever. And I think this episode and last episode perfectly explain why he's one of my favorites. I think these are really good episodes for Dreams. Then Mookie. I feel like Mookie was a player I forgot about in between my first watch and the second time I rewatched Fiji. And the more times I watch him, the more of like a solid player, especially in this era of Survivor. Like he definitely is making some mistakes, but I do feel like of the Four Horsemen, he's one of the more likable to me. And also I think that over on Ravu, he was a pretty solid force in the game. Like he was not going home at any point. And the confessionals that we have had of him, I really like. So I think Mookie for me is a solid second place for the Four Horsemen. And then it's so hard between these two because like I know the differences between them, but like also they're just so similar. They're so in sync with everything. I almost want to give Edgardo the edge because he's so mean at times, but like he doesn't even realize how mean he is. Like when last episode he talks about how Lisi is not smart, and then a brief pause and he's like, in the game, and like immediately afterwards, like it's so, and I think that he said it without really thinking about how mean that sounded, and then as soon as he processed it, he's like, I need to make this sound much better. So I kind of love that like passive aggressive energy from Edgardo.
And I love his big red shirt.
I was saying the fashion this season I'm kind of living for. I love the color scheme, lots of like lime greens and these like rusty reds, very beautiful.
The green and orange are very nicely faded colors.
Yes.
I was thinking while I was watching that this has to be some of the ugliest outfits that have ever been on Survivor.
It was camp. You don't
Yao
understand.
Man is the most best dressed, I would say.
Yes, that hat.
He looked the best. The shorts.
Yao Man knows what he signed up for. Like, I am here to be the star. I am here to wear my funky outfit and have my funky little Muni idol. And that's all he has to do. And he has the glasses. I feel like it's a well thought out look that is put together.
Absolutely. He's top
He-
2 of the
he-
week for sure.
He understood the assignment.
Yes.
Yes.
He was very quiet in this episode. I
That's
feel
what I
like
was
Yao
gonna
Man
say.
is like
He wa-
obviously a fan fave, but he just is not in this episode really.
Yeah, there's a couple episodes where I was actually very surprised, especially at the beginning. I feel like Yao Man did not get a ton of screen time in the strategic portion. He would like have a moment of the week in every episode, and sometimes it was like very small, like blink and you miss it. But then the strategic portion, he wasn't as present, but he always voted correctly. So like
Mhm.
he clearly knew what was up. We just didn't see a ton of it. And then now this episode was fairly quiet. We know that he has the idol. Earl is still the only other person that knows he has the idol. He wasn't going anywhere even if they had lost this challenge. So Yao Man's just sitting pretty right now, and exactly what we want for our best dressed contestant.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So before we get into everything else about this merge episode, is this the merge episode? I feel like I don't count it as the merge episode because I guess technically it is, but to me it is like a not merge because they don't vote together, and that never sits right with me.
I couldn't remember the exact details of the fake merge or like the split merge or whatever. And so while I was watching the episode and they were reading the tree mail at Exile Island, like the way they even talk about like dropping your buffs and like you are merged is so roundabout in the language. They're like, take your buffs off and now your tribes are now merged or something. Like they
Yeah.
do say merge, but it's so like indirect compared to like what you're used to.
Yeah. I don't know
Yeah,
if they
and
didn't maybe know if they wanted it to be an official merge or not when like production was like, maybe we're doing a merge. I don't know.
yeah,
Okay.
and like Jeff's not even the one that says you are merged. They go to Exile Island, open up a box with purple buffs, and are like, figure it out.
Jeff called in sick. The other thing is like I didn't even remember this episode had like a scroll or whatever, but like between they do that in Cook Islands with the bottle twist, and now like there's this other scroll where Jeff reads from the thing. It's just like, what was their fascination with these scrolls?
I enjoy the fact that they said they win a scroll, but then they never actually touch the scroll because Jeff is the one that opens it and reads it to him. So they didn't actually win a scroll. They just went to tribal council immediately.
They didn't know what they were doing.
Production was not on their A game this episode, but again, I kind of love it. It's camp. It's camp. It's a camp production period.
It is. Is this do we have an official Jeff fatigue like timeline? Because he seemed very checked out in this episode. I don't know what was going. Maybe I'm just too used to like hyped up Jeff in the last few years, but he was just like not feeling it.
I feel like so the season after this is Survivor China, and I think that and Micronesia being immediately after that was like, since that is like universally loved Survivor, that is really when we get like a resurgence of Jeff before some of the seasons in the 20s wear him down a bit. So I think we are like just missing the Jeff in his prime era when they see like how positively received China and Micronesia are in a row.
That's interesting because I never really thought about it because it's also famously that Jeff hates Gabon. And so like thinking about him going from the highest high since like season 2 basically to then going into his most hated season is just like he must have felt like he was punched in the face.
Yeah. It was a lot. And then it goes then we get heroes versus villains, and then we get Nicaragua and Redemption Island and all these other seasons that are usually not well received by audiences. But here we are now, 43 seasons later. So it's not all bad.
No, I did love his like demeanor at tribal. Not to get too far ahead, is just like really funny to me. He's checked out, but he seems like he has almost like very aggro in the tribal. It's like, whoa, Jeff. Like,
how dare you all lose? I don't know. Last episode, he was very animated in the last episode. I think he was very excited to see Lacey go, as we all were, because that was a great tribal council. Okay. Now, rules of the podcast. 25 minutes in. So I just want to reiterate before we get too deep into everything that happens here, that we have people that have watched the podcast or listened to the podcast before. For people that are new and are just listening in because you want to mourn Michelle Yee in all of her Survivor glory, like that is the reason that we are all here right now. These are the rules for the episode. As I said in the intro, this is an almost spoiler-free podcast. And what I mean by that is that we are not revealing anything about this season. We are not spoiling any placements or anything like that. We're not going to discuss any of the big events that happen in future episodes. This is almost completely spoiler-free. The one thing is that there is an all-Black alliance with all of the Black contestants on this season that have a big impact in Survivor Fiji as a season, but the edit doesn't really show. So we are going to be righting that wrong and discussing it as it comes up through the season. And there are some fairly interesting moments in this episode that I think set up for a bigger storyline that will be coming up in a future episode. But it does come up, so it is a bit relevant, especially when we have these questions of, is Dreams going to be able to pull Cassandra into the Four Horsemen Alliance? Is Cassandra going to be able to pull Dreams into what will eventually be called the Syndicate Alliance, which is basically the core alliance, like the tribe within the tribe that Earl was discussing earlier. And I think it's interesting, but I think that like we really want to focus on like the all Black alliance as well. We have lost Erica and Anthony at this point, but we are still going strong with Earl, Cassandra, and Dreams. So we will be discussing that when it's relevant. But we won't be spoiling Earl, Cassandra, or Dreams placements, and we won't be spoiling the placements of any of the other contestants that are left.
Excellent.
All right. So we already kind of talked about this, but I want to go into it a little deeper. Basically, what happens in this pre-segment is that this pre-immunity challenge segment, I should say, there are two very well-defined alliances on both tribes. So Ravu has the Four Horsemen Alliance, Moto has the Syndicate, and they are both going into what they are assuming is the merge because both sides are being instructed to go to Exile Island, and they want to pull in their alliance members from the original portion of the game to get the edge when they go to their vote as a team. So basically, everyone's trying to convince the other side to betray the side that they're currently on. What drama. I love it.
It's so good. It made me miss swaps so much here. Just like listening to them talk about, oh, I can bring in Michelle or I can bring in the like this like it was like so fun. I was like, oh, remember when you could like talk like that? Like that's just not a thing anymore. You don't have any relationships outside of your own tribe in no swap Survivor, which is very sad.
Bring back the swap.
Oh, I love a good swap. I love the swaps. I hope we get another swap soon. I think this swap, for all of the shit we've been giving production throughout the season, I actually think the swap was done at a really good time because it makes for these questions of, okay, which side is going to get the numbers at this point? And I think people like, for people like Alex and Edgardo, who have been kind of at the top of things for a very long time, they are pretty confident in their abilities to gain the numbers by pulling in Stacy and Dreams pulling in Cassandra and Mookie pulling in Michelle with their previous relationships that happened before the swap. But no one on that side is really factoring in that the other side is kind of planning the same thing. They're pretty confident that Cassandra can pull in Dreams. And it seems like they have a fairly solid relationship with Boo and Stacy, probably because they haven't had to they haven't had to vote anyone out on that side yet, but they don't seem too worried about the possibility of like who they're going to be able to pull in from that side. And Mookie was original Ravu, so they do clearly, still have some form of a relationship with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was just funny. It's funny that they're like, well, we can definitely pull in Cassandra through dreams, and then we get another shot of the other side being like, Cassandra, we've got dreams, right? And she's like,
Yeah.
Cassandra was like my low-key MVP of the episode because of that. There's a whole conversation she has with Earl where I think the only words she says are or it's so funny.
So this is the other thing I want to say, because Earl's tribe within a tribe confessional is really good. But as I was taking notes for this, I was, typing things out. And obviously I know that there is an all black alliance at this point, but also as a viewer, I'm like, when did Cassandra get like so integrated into this tribe? Because she was not original Ravu like the rest of them in there, but they all know it's like Cassandra is part of the core group. That's our girl. We can rely on her for votes. We know she's going to be able to pull in dreams. And I think it's a fair assumption that Cassandra will be able to pull in dreams to their side as well, because of, like they did not have a positive experience on the original Moto tribe. And I don't think that, even though Dreams is doing a pretty good job right now convincing them that he is on their side, the Four Horsemen, we know that Dreams has not forgotten this. And that's part of the reason why he was talking about how excited he was to eventually get rid of Stacy. And he doesn't believe that she is actually as excited to see him as she's pretending to.
And especially if there is like an all black alliance, you're thinking that like Earl and Cassandra are pulling from one side versus Dreams pulling from the other side. So it just makes more sense that Dreams would go with Flip.
Yeah.
Right.
And I just don't think that, like, I think Dreams likes the idea of potentially working with the Four Horsemen. Like, I don't think that Dreams just wants to discard this alliance because those are numbers for him in theory. But I don't think the Four Horsemen also really do their best in like making him feel like he should stick with them, because not just the behavior that happened on the original Moto, but then also like they don't tell him about the idol, in part because they're worried that he'll tell Cassandra. But then also it's like, okay, but do you trust me or do you not? Because you start seeing like, all right, how is this going to look? You want to pull in Stacy for our extra number, but really you just want to have an edge over me and Mookie. And then you don't tell me about the idol. And then you're still expecting me to pull in Cassandra, who I'm guessing on this side, she can only hope for 6th place at this point, at the most, at like the absolute most. That is what she's getting. So I just don't know where they thought this was going to go with all of these marks against them for building a solid foundation within this alliance of 4.
Yeah, they Alex and Edgardo really just do not inspire any sort of trust whatsoever, and like I don't know, like Dream seems really upset of just about their behavior in general. It's like I would leave too if I was him. Like the way like the other 3 horsemen are acting, it's like why would I even want to stick around with you guys?
Yeah, they do not speak his name in rooms of opportunity. And the idol is just like another thing in that list of things where it's just like, get out of there.
Yeah.
They're bad friends.
Yeah, bad friends. And it just seems like, and even when we get to the actual merge area, like once they are all being able to be together in one place, you can even just see like Cassandra is genuinely excited that Dreams has made the merge. And I think that there is a warmth with Cassandra as a player that this other side does not really have, in part because I think Cassandra genuinely appreciates Dreams as an ally and is very excited to work with him moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, you can see it. I feel like, I don't know, Cassandra just exudes that sort of friendliness, and like that's why Earl's like, yeah, you and Michelle are like the most popular girls because, and that's not for no reason. It's because they have something about them. They have the social game. And so this Four Horsemen just seems like very cobbled together. A house of cards, if you will.
They very much, and I would love to be Cassandra's ally. I would let her blindside me if the
Absolutely.
opportunity arose. Like that is my icon of this episode. Like they give her so few confessionals, but her social game is so impressive here.
Yeah, she's great. Earl is amazing in this episode too. I feel like obviously it's hard to say Earl's not the star of any given episode, but
Especially
like
with that hat.
I know. I mean, honestly, best dressed to me goes to Earl. Like, but yeah, he's just I don't know.
How
Hearing him talk
quickly
about
you
the game.
forget Yao Man.
I'm sorry. The show forgot Yao Man for a second too. It's fair.
They
fair.
did. They really. I forgot how little he's in this episode.
Yeah. But yeah, Earl's just all his confessionals are great. So on point. Like we get to hear everything he thinks about his alliance, about the other alliance, about how he thinks the game is going. And I don't know. I could listen to him talk strategy all day. Still a tragedy. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Earl's adaptability here is also pretty impressive because even when we get the shots of, you know, the fact that there's a merge, so now they have all these new numbers to worry about. When the merge is like officially announced with the purple buffs, and they say they are going back to the moto camp, only to find that the moto camp has been ransacked and all of their luxuries have been taken away. He takes it all in stride, and he is kind of like, he finds it funny, the idea that like, okay, now they're starting from scratch again. They have to worry about all these numbers, but he looks at the merge as like another challenge in the game of, okay, now this is every man for himself. I have been working really hard to secure these numbers. Let's see where this takes me. But then even with like all of the luxury goods being taken away, he's like, like I have to laugh a little bit, but like also I've already done this part of it. And like, that's not, you know, this is not the worst thing that could happen, is getting all of our nice things taken away. People like Boo, Stacy, and Cassandra, they have not lived outside of the luxury camp.
Oh my god, Boo. Yeah, I keep forgetting Boo too, but he's like, I don't know, kind of a figure in this episode too. He's the original Boo, according to literally everyone.
Yeah.
And he's just, I don't know, his eyes are so piercing. I forgot about that. Like in the intro.
He does have very nice eyes. Like,
His
you didn't hear
hair
it
is
from
so
me.
interesting to me too. I feel like he looks like he's like I feel like he looks like he's either like 8 or like 35, depending on what angle you're seeing him from.
Yeah.
What is that hairstyle? Like, it does not have a specific direction that it's going in.
Oh my god. Oh, Boo.
It does what it wants at this point.
He's a free agent.
I want to know what Boo's game plan was going into this, because it seems like before this twist was announced, everyone is in agreement somehow, despite all of their differences. Everyone agrees that Boo should be going next. And then, but then Boo, and from what we have heard from Boo so far, it seems like he is not in any specific alliances at this point, but he's more like go with the flow type guy. Like, he was treated as a very neutral force on the original Moto, but then also on this one, because they kept winning everything on the new Moto tribe, he's just also, he's there. He helps out his tribe. He seems to get along with everyone, but universal agreement, we must get rid of Boo first. And I'm very curious about that. And then once it is confirmed that Boo's side of this dual merge shenanigans that they put on this episode, he is well aware of the fact that, like, yeah, if our side didn't win that, I was toast. I was going home. So he's well aware that like this was his saving grace.
Yeah, Boo. I don't know. I feel like that doesn't really happen anymore. Someone be like, "Yeah, I guess it's me." Anyway, if it happens to me, I guess that's it. That's the game. That's our Boo for us, I guess.
I'm actually okay, but actually, I'll talk about this later because I have a lot to say about this actual tribal council, but then also like the two teams that were divided up. So we have, so we do have the the plan for Mookie and Dreams want to talk with Cassandra and Yao Man to try to pull them in for the Four Horsemen. Did this like have a chance of succeeding? Because I don't know. I go so many which ways because I really don't think Cassandra was leaving this alliance that she's in. And I don't think Yao Man was either. But like, what do Mookie and Dreams do here? Realistically.
I mean, I think that Dreams just has to take the ticket to the better alliance, like the alliance that's
Yeah.
gonna win. Like, I think that
Honestly.
he just says yes to Cassandra. He sees the writing on the wall and is just kind of like, bye.
Yeah. But then also like Mookie does know, like, this is the original tribe that Mookie started on. He hasn't really met Cassandra yet outside of the first couple days where they were building the shelter together, but he hasn't seen her since then. He has not been on the same tribe with her since the very beginning, but he does know Earl. He knows Yao Man. He knows Michelle, and we don't see any huge conflicts between Mookie with these three. He didn't always vote with him, but there still is a connection there. But like, I almost think Mookie should have been trying to find a way to jump ship as well. Like, is there, we don't know if this will work out for him moving forward, but like, he tries to save Michelle here when they get to the vote, but then like that doesn't work out for him. He's kind of stuck on this alliance of four. They know about his idol, and he's kind of like he's stuck in this position that he in some ways put himself in, and in some ways that was the luck of the draw, like literally the luck of the draw in how the tribes in this episode were split up, or the teams, I guess I'll say. And I almost think like, should he just have tried to get more acclimated with his original tribe mates? I don't know. I don't even know what he does here.
Yeah, it's hard because it's like Dreams like would have an advocate or someone like who would like be actively pulling him in. I feel like Mookie would have to be the one initiating that, because I don't think we ever hear anyone being like, "Yeah, we got to bring in Mookie," from the other side, unless I'm misremembering that.
I think that the major issue with Mookie's status going forward is that he voted for Stacy here. And so like now moving forward, like the ideal scenario, I guess, for the Four Horsemen would be like hopefully all four of them stay together and Stacy comes along, because Boo knows nobody's really trying to work with him or take him further, so you can't like necessarily rely on him. But now someone's voted for Stacy, and it's just like that's chaos. And so like ideally Mookie could hop over to the other alliance as well, but if they're pulling in Dreams at the same time, they kind of don't even need Mookie anymore because they have enough people to have the majority for the votes.
And I do think that Mookie is well aware of how expendable he is on both sides. And it's not totally his fault, because even when they were on the second iteration of Ravu, he was worried that he would eventually, once Rocky was gone, he was worried that he would be the easy boot because he's the only Ravu member left. And that worry has never really left his mind. Obviously, he is very lucky that Ravu hates the original Moto members all hate each other at this point, particularly Lisi and Dream. So like, he was never going to go in this situation anyway. But it's very interesting to see, like, he's aware of his level of like being expendable to this alliance if push comes to shove, but then we aren't really seeing what he is doing to fix that. Like, again, I think he should have told Dreams about the idol one-on-one. I think he should have tried to make a better pitch to to like Earl or Yao Man or Michelle, whoever in that core is better aligned, or even like give you a heads up that like, hey, like it could be you. So like, let us find a way to get someone else out that we don't want to be here. But obviously this is kind of impossible with the way that this challenge split up, but I just wish we got a little bit more from Mookie, I guess. Like, we got a fair amount here, but like I have so many questions about what his plan is from this point forward.
The split vote
he-
here is killing him, I think.
Yeah. The split vote, and also I don't know, like we hear his thoughts on the idol, and maybe he's just like distracted by that and like isn't thinking about anything else. Maybe he is just trying to play an individual game. I don't know.
Yeah. He did want okay, so he does decide here on his own that he wants to tell Dreams about the idol. And again, we talked about how he is annoyed. Everyone's annoyed because he does it right in front of Alex. So now Alex and Edgardo are both aware that he does that. They tell him to his face that this is not a good idea. And Dreams is visibly upset that he's just finding out about this idol. So that's another point of drama that is not resolved here. But we do see in the previews for the next episode that Dreams does in fact tell Cassandra and Earl that Mookie has an idol.
Yeah. Which is so funny. I don't know. I feel like they're so much cagier with the next time on Survivor nowadays, I feel like.
I know, but I feel like this is a huge reveal now. It's like, okay, like, yes, he should have told Dreams, but also Dreams did in fact tell Cassandra and Earl about this idol. And I think the only way that this could have not happened is if Mookie told him sooner or just didn't tell him at all. But I kind of love that he told him because now we get all of this mess. And like, Mookie, thank you for continuing to serve us.
He's team good TV. That's just at the end of the day.
Yeah.
He is good TV.
Because like up until the Mookie reveal, the episode is not like firing, I would say. But then from the moment that it happens, like it all starts coming together. And then the next time on gets you really excited for whatever's gonna happen next, because it seems like that'll be a really exciting episode.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's so good.
And I will
this is a very good scenes from the next episode. That is art, high art.
I mean, well, speaking of art, I am always one to really mourn the fact that like Survivor music, it just does not hit the way it used to hit. And this episode was clear. I mean, I like the intro was amazing. Fiji might have my favorite intro music, like my favorite version of Ancient Voices. It's so good. And just listening to the music, and there's so many great scenes of just like nature shots, and there's like beautiful music going on. I feel like a lot of times in modern Survivor, there's just like silence for like most scenes, and it's like very noticeable after watching this.
I know they really do a lot here. Like the editors had a field trip with this what do I call it? With the material that was provided to them. Yeah. And we love that for him. We love that for them. I assume it's a team, but yes, they had a great time here. I think really, I agree with you though. I think the beginning, really the first half of this episode is getting to the island, getting to Exile Island, announcing the merge, and then now everyone is kind of settling into the fact that like this is the 10 people that are on this island together. These are the remaining players in the game. How are we going to maneuver these next few rounds? And as we love to have in these episodes, when there are seasons with a tribe swap, we love a tribe swap. I miss the tribe swap so much right now. But they actually are trying to figure out, okay, what realistically can we do to get the edge out from the other side? And the thing I do really like about this season in particular is that in this merge, there are very clearly two sides that are formed already.
Yeah.
I think a big part of my issue with the excitement of the episode, I just don't understand why they didn't have Jeff do it. Like why they didn't have him announce the merge. I feel like the confusion and uncertainty around whether they were even merged and that kind of thing was like,
theatrics for no reason,
keeping them back, like unsure. And it's just like if you get Jeff in there and he's like shouting at them, drop your buffs, like you are merged, like that is what will get people motivated.
Yeah, get people going.
Oh yeah, I want like a classic merge feast with
Mm.
this group because this is a pretty messy group of contestants. Like drama messy, not like physically messy, but I think that this would make for a killer merge feast.
Absolutely. I feel like there's
yeah.
the thing I hate about like these like split merge things is that they make them like half of them don't get to go to the merge feast. It's like even if you're only making half of them immune, like it's still so much fun to see all of them just come together like and get drunk and just like have fun. Like that's the fun part of the merge. It's like even if you have to do all this silliness with like immunities or what like some people can't get voted out, it's like at least give us a little fun with it.
I
Yeah,
also
there's
feel like
no
this.
oh, sorry, you go
I just
first.
feel like with this, they're also losing another advantage of like the splitting numbers thing. Like if we're gonna split in half, the advantage there is that there's fewer people, and so the number it's like a more precarious voting situation where anybody, so many like one person has so much power over what happens when there's only 5 people voting, and so like but they took that all away because we didn't even get to see them like strategize. So like it, I feel like they took the worst parts of everything that they decided.
Yeah, and I really don't like that like half of the tribe doesn't vote. Even in the new school era of
Hmm.
Survivor, when they do this earn the merge thing where half of the contestants are immune, everybody votes. Everyone gets to test out the waters here and have their first big vote. We will still get a first big vote from this cast. It is just next episode. It is not this current episode. And I don't think it's Michelle that goes if everybody votes.
Yeah, which is like so upsetting. Like she's clearly well set up. It's like pure just luck of the draw or bad luck of the draw in this
Yeah.
case. It's so sad.
It does seem like Survivor Fiji has set a lot of the seeds for the current era of the show. You know, drop the 1, drop the 4, pick them back up, flip them around. 41.
Honestly, it makes a lot
Oh
of
my
sense to me.
God. The conspiracies. I love it. I love it. It's so good. All right. Let's talk about the immunity challenge and why I hate how they divided the tribes up so much. It's time. It's time we get there. I think we
Mhm.
covered everything about like pre-immunity challenge drama.
Yeah.
Oh, the one other thing is that I did really like that we had a conversation with Michelle and Stacy where they're both worried, but Michelle is more so worried and Stacy is like, it's fine. The guys are all going to go after each other at this point because like they are not going to see us as the big threats. Well, Stacy is there, but also Stacy did not foresee all of this mess from happening.
Yeah, it's frustrating. It's about how it felt like watching 43, honestly, of like, surely they're not gonna keep voting out women. That would make no sense. And but they defy all
You would
logic.
think. We are down to 2 women on this season. I am
Oof.
heartbroken. It's so sad. It's so
Tragic.
upsetting now. But then we get to the immunity challenge, and Jeff basically tells them to pick rocks out of bags as soon as they get there. This is the other thing that I really hated about this. This might be the biggest grievance for me is that they have separate bags for both for men and women, right? So, and we can see from the divisions that Cassandra was the only woman on the tribe that ended up winning, and then the other 2 tribes or the other 2 women, which are Stacy and Michelle, were on the tribe that lost, and then that ended up being the 2 people that the vote was split between. Let the women be able to be on the same tribe together. It's at this point, like, the worst that could happen is that one of them still goes in a tribe where there are 3 women on this tribe, and that's going to happen sometimes. That's fine. But then the best scenario that this could happen is that the tribe with all men lose, and then they have to vote out a man because they're literally forcing them to. But like they just took that option away from them by ensuring that all of the women were not going to be on the same tribe together because they had their own bag of rocks. And we can assume that that bag had 2 of one color and 1 of the other one.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. That's a great point. Like, just there was no possible way for all of them to be together, and it was always going to be that one tribe had two of the women and one tribe had one of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was. They're always gonna. There was never a chance for there to be a majority of women on one tribe, which is just inherently like flawed for the women. Like, that's really frustrating.
And
And
it's too
I
bad
think at this
because
point,
well,
no, you
well,
go.
I feel like this is a very cool idea. Like I feel like it's been floated in fan circles in the past, where it's like, what if there was a season where there were no tribes, but every time they got to the challenge, like they drew rocks from a bag and split into teams, and like those people went to tribal or whatever if they lost. And so like it's like I like this as a concept, but I feel like again they just did it wrong, and like it would be way better if it was like a whole season themed around it instead of just like one
Yeah.
random screw over of this person.
I played
Yeah.
an org like that before.
Oh,
Yeah.
dang.
They
Yeah.
swapped every round.
Oh, that's so. That sounds like so much fun. I would be. I would be very down for that. Or
Yeah.
Sam's eternal idea of randomized immunity every single time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my god, can you imagine?
I
I
mean, the
won
editors
that.
would never be
Yeah.
able to know if they swapped every single episode. The season would be horrible, but I'm sure it would be really fun for
Really
them
fun.
to like on the ground. I'm sure it's fun to watch, but the show
Yes.
would be so bad they would
It'd
not
be
know
a
what to do.
mess. I
We
did
love
win
it.
that org for anybody wondering. So, yes, I
What?
loved that for me.
Yeah,
But enough bragging about me. But like for now, at least. Okay, but then the two teams are, let me find it. Okay, so we have the green team that is Alex, Mookie, Dreams, Michelle, and Stacy, and then the orange team that is Edgardo, Boo, Earl, Cassandra, and Yowman. I like this challenge. It's a little boring at parts, but it's the memorized symbols and the arrangement on of Fiji and Max. They paddle out to grab the puzzle pieces, and then they bring the pieces back to the beach and place them in the correct order. And that sounds fun. That I don't have too much of a problem with. I like where they have to go and memorize things, and then if they get it wrong, they have to go all the way back out to rememorize them. But the thing that I don't like is that the winners aren't just immune like what we get in the current format of Survivor, but they get steak and wine, which fine, but they don't attend tribal council either. So they aren't just immune, they are not voting. They have no say in the outcome of this tribal council. So this hardly constitutes a merge. This is just them like splitting the teams up one more time before they finally have like a full proper merge.
Yeah, it feels very arbitrary. Like, why are we doing this? It's really frustrating to watch, especially like we said, poor Michelle. Like, I feel like as soon as you see those divisions, it's like, well, Stacy or Michelle, you're
Yeah.
kind of done. Like,
Yeah.
which is a shitty thing to see. Like,
Yeah.
makes me sad.
And
But I
it was
agree.
oh yeah, I was gonna say it was a fairly close round. Like they were both on the puzzle when the orange team finished. So it was fairly close, but then so that orange team of Edgardo, Boo, Earl, Cassandra, and Yowman are safe for the tribal council. What do we think would have happened if the orange team went to tribal council? Because I know Boo is fairly convinced that it would be him going at this point, but there is a part of me that thinks that it is quite possible that the three main allies on that side, being Earl, Cassandra, and Yowman, would see that it is more valuable to them to get rid of Edgardo in that case over Boo, because Edgardo none of them have worked with at this point, and Cassandra has not enjoyed her time when she was on the same tribe as Edgardo. And Boo, they at least have some type of rapport with. I almost think that it could have been Edgardo going here if the right case is made and if the right dots are connected to arrive at this point. Because I definitely think in that instance, Edgardo going is definitely the move over Boo. Like you can get Boo next time.
Yeah, exactly. Like Boo was a consensus vote this round. Like, so there's no reason to get rid of him. And I agree. I think Edgardo would be a great way to guarantee that 4. Like they now outnumber the 4 horsemen. And they have Boo who like owes them his life now. So like, yeah, that would have been a more satisfying conclusion to this episode.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Or at least less devastating.
Plus, then they'd still have Michelle also.
Yeah.
And they still have Michelle. Okay, this was the other. I have a ton of conspiracy theories here about how this could have been better for them. Gonna throw this at you guys.
Okay.
Orange team. They should have thrown the challenge, right?
That's what
They
I
should have.
think. Honestly,
As
like
soon as they hear like what the consequences is of them losing are, like Earl, Cassandra, and Yauman, they can do math. They have the majority here no matter what. They don't know yet that who was it? They don't know that Edgardo doesn't have the idol here, which could be a caveat, but if they are so worried about it, they can also just vote out Boo like they planned, who they know does not have the idol here because Yao-Man has the idol.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
Maybe they
agree.
tried to throw it, and Boo is just such a challenge beast that he won it
I know.
anyway.
The Nasir of it all, honestly.
Yeah.
That could be it.
His power.
Yes.
I really think I mean, like, yeah, it would be a hard sell to tell Boo, like, we are throwing the challenge, but we're definitely not voting you out. I promise.
Yeah.
But
that'd be-
Edgardo is the better choice in this scenario.
100%.
Agreed.
I would be very curious to see how the rest of the season plays out. If that had happened, I don't know.
That would have been very interesting.
My dream
yeah.
in the future is that we will have enough technology that we can run. I mean, essentially just real life rant steal of like, let's just run what happens in this season if this happens, and you just get to watch an entire season of the different everything everywhere all at once Survivor.
Oh my god, I love it. I love that. I want that in my life. I want to see Michelle Yee win Survivor.
Oh my
is
god.
what I really want.
Michelle Yee win Survivor, Michelle Yeoh win the Oscar.
That is the world I want to live in.
World peace. We just need a third thing to happen for make a holy trinity.
We need a Michelle with a Y last name.
Yes. We'll workshop it. We'll
find her. We'll find her.
We'll find that skinny legend and she will win something and we'll just world peace. World peace is what happens.
She'll win the Traitors season 2 and it'll be amazing.
Our faceless Michelle, whose last name we don't even know.
But it starts with a Y. That's all we know.
That's why we do know that. Yes. There's something about reality TV Michelles that we just gravitate to. I don't know what it is.
It's like Natalie's and Michelle's. We stand and they will probably win something.
Yes.
If not the whole season, at least our hearts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're like catnip.
They really are. They really are. It's incredible. All right. Also, side note, speaking of the Traitors, should Cirie just be known by her singular name like Beyonce at this point? Like she's Cirie. Like we call her Cirie Fields because that's her name and like that is what people know her at. But I feel like Cirie is Beyonce status at this point. She can be known as one name. We can add a little accent to the E at the end of her name. Be a one name wonder at this point.
I agree. She could host. I feel like she could sell out a stadium in Dubai, just like Beyonce could. Like, I see that for Cirie, 100%. Honestly.
Especially since there's not really another Cirie known to man, like other than the 30 Rock Cirie, who is named after the Survivor Cirie. So it's like she's Cirie,
literally the one and only.
I like that. I like it. Cirie, you will always be famous. Queen.
Literally. Oh my god.
Cirie wouldn't have voted out Michelle Yee.
No, she would not have. She's never done anything wrong in her life ever, as far as I'm concerned.
Not once. Faultless queen.
Yes, this was a fun challenge. It reminds me, I mean, speaking of Michelle's, I always think of Michelle crushing this on Korong, the memorization challenge.
I do like the memory challenge. The less that rely just on brute strength or like your ability to swim, the better.
Yes.
I just don't know why have they never done another math challenge? Like on Token Chains, Steven won that challenge where he had to do math and like remember numbers or whatever, and then they've literally never done anything like that ever again.
They're probably scared like that someone will be like you did the math wrong, like the challenge people did the math wrong. Like that would be if I'm on the challenge team, I'm like, I'm not doing math because I feel like I'm gonna fuck it up and then someone's gonna lose and it's gonna be my fault.
It's easier to be sure that 3 balls are on the top of a rolling hill or whatever.
I can do that math for sure.
Be like, no, it's okay. I will sit out. I don't need to partake in this challenge. Give the immunity to someone else, please.
The Token
I'm
Chains
good.
one was interesting because the challenge team had to create their own form of math to get the outcome they wanted because they told them not to do PEMDAS. So they
Oh.
just, had to invent their
Create an
new form of
alternate
Survivor
form of
calculus.
math.
Yeah.
That's so evil. I love that.
Token
Ugh.
Chains was pure chaos, and that's why we love it.
It's another camp seat. I love Taj and Stephen Fishback in that season, and like
I'm sorry I got
others.
us so far off track.
No, I mean this was already going off the rails anyway because like I had to ask the Suri question. It
Of
was not
course.
going to leave my mind, and here we are now. Back to Survivor Fiji. Yeah, so the Green Tribe is the one that ends up going to Tribal Council here. Now, this is where I start to have some tea, but
Oh,
yes, I have tea on why Dreams went with the decision that he did because so all we have heard this episode from Dreams in terms of his thoughts on the other side is that he cannot wait to vote out Stacy. He does not want to work with her. The idea that Alex and Edgardo think they're slick and can pull her in to join them is ridiculous to him at this point. Like, he does not want any part of it. He remembers how she treated him when they were on original Moto together. He is ready. He has been ready. I think he is still high off of the joy that he felt voting out Lisi and having that be successful as well. So he is just like on an uphill like swing right now. Very happy for Dreams. He is so excited, and he is so excited to also take out Stacy, that last piece of the puzzle there. And he's like, yeah, this is what's going to happen. And I'm going to vote out Stacy as soon as I possibly can. It's going to be great. So now we get to this tribal council with this group of 5. And not a ton happens here until we get to Jeff asking everybody why we should give me a reason to vote out this person. And I assume this was a much more extensive version of what actually happened here. And also, oh yeah, they won the message in the bottle, but the message in the bottle was just a note saying that they're going to tribal council immediately and they have no time to strategize, which is also terrible for Michelle because she really needs to convince Dreams that she is a valuable asset to her.
That was my favorite part of the episode because they had this really quick zoom in shot on Stacy and she was like so surprised.
Oh my god.
I don't like that at all. I mean,
bad twist, but
yeah,
moment.
bad twist. Stacy, girl, you can stay. Like, that was funny, but the twist of we are not going to give you any time to strategize, not great. Especially not great for Michelle, who is at the disadvantage here because she has interacted with the 3 guys the least out of her and Stacy. And I think Michelle, it could have done Michelle a world of good if she had the time to talk to Dreams and say, listen, I am a good ally for you.
I just don't understand thinking. Like, it just feels like they're giving themselves fewer options, to make the episode good. Like, they're just like, no, we shouldn't film this. Like, let's not do this. Like, but it's like if you did film it and it was boring and stupid and nobody cared about it, you just didn't have to put it in the episode. Like,
yeah. I hate this because it's like you're already putting like 5 people in like an infinitely more precarious position than they were before. Like, you're gonna just add that on top of it of like you don't even get to talk about it. It's just I think that's too much. I hate whenever they mess with like how much time you get like before tribal. I just think that's like really not, like, I don't know. It feels like so against what the game is supposed to be in a way that just feels it's wrong. I don't like it.
Yeah. I think the best tribal councils that we have resulted in them having extensive amount of time to change their plans and come up with
Exactly.
new plans, because coming up with something in the moment, yes, can sometimes be entertaining, but in instances like this where in some cases they are just starting to get to know each other or re-meet each other again, it just means that the predictable will happen, which is the person that got the least face time with the majority of this mixed up tribe is going to be the collateral damage here. And unfortunately for Michelle, that is what happened here. Also, kind of why I think Orange should have tried to throw this challenge. Because, like, it was Earl and Yowman at the puzzle too, right? Like, they did not
Yeah.
have to be that fast with putting the pieces together. Like, Yowman, you were a little too quick on switching those symbols here.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I feel like people like survivors have talked before about like you just don't. I don't know. You just like want to win in the moment,
I
but like
know.
it just would have been so much smarter.
I don't think they thought about the idea, especially since this is all information being thrown at them quickly. So my assumption is
Right.
they didn't even think about that possibility and probably
Mhm.
did not think that Michelle was as likely going to go home here as it was actually going to be. I
Right.
do want to give some, I rarely do this, but I do want to give some kudos to Alex here, because he did when Jeff is asking this question of give me a reason to, like, why it would be good for you to vote this person out. He basically, because they did not have time to strategize ahead of time, he lets everybody know he is voting for Michelle. He does not have a good reason to vote out Stacy, Mookie, or Dreams, and that is what he says when Jeff asks him to go around and ask about everybody here. He's the only one that does this at this point. But he does say that, yeah, I don't know Michelle that well. I have not, I don't know her. We haven't lived on the same tribe at all since like the very beginning of the episode or beginning of the season. And like that's all the reason you need at this point with the little information that they've been given. So he lets them know that this is the way that his vote is going. Also leading to the likes of like Stacy being like, all right, if I want to secure my safety, I probably need to throw my vote on Michelle.
Yeah, I agree. Even though it's like really repetitious, like this line of questioning from Jeff, it's like really refreshing, especially in recent seasons. I feel like everyone's so cagey at tribal.
Yeah.
It's like I just want to hear, yeah, I'm voting out Michelle because this reason. Like, okay, like,
Yep.
we can work with that. I can.
This is what we got when there were fewer idols. People just
Yes.
openly saying, "I'm against you," right? Like 1 second before they're gonna vote.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like, what are you gonna do?
Yes. I miss them having 2 idols and that's it. Like no extra gadgets or whatever. It's like 2 idols that they literally had to dig for,
Yeah.
which yeah, gross, but it got the job done. And
Exactly.
Alex knows that Mookie has their idol, and like I think that if Michelle did have an idol, she would have played it here. But I think this was the way to go, and I think Alex did execute this really well. While I was rewatching it and forgetting that this happens, that was what was going through my mind. If someone just needs to say, like, I don't have a reason to vote this person out, but I do have a reason to vote out the person that I don't know anything about currently. So I do think that was a good take on Alex's part. So good job, Alex. That was good. That was smart.
Agreed.
Are you guys ready to hear the tea now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So the main reason why I think the Orange Tribe should have thrown the challenge here is because once the tribe divisions were announced here, Michelle was going to go no matter what. And what I mean about that is that in the event that the Orange team lost, which is what they did, Dreams was always going to vote out Michelle here. The reason for that being, in the next episode, this is a slight spoiler, but not really, because we know that Michelle is voted out. One of the first, if not the first confessional we get in the next episode is Dreams saying that his mind was swayed by Michelle saying that she didn't know Dreams very well. And that solidified his decision that, like, yes, he did not know Michelle really well. So that is probably a good reason to get rid of her at this point, because he doesn't know like where her alliances are, but he knows that they don't have an alliance yet and they don't have any loyalties to each other. In a interview during like the height of the pandemic in 2020, when Dreams did a couple interviews for his experience as a Survivor player specifically, and he said that he was always going to vote out Michelle in that tribe makeup. The reason for that being is that, well, the confessional made it seem like it was a spur of the moment decision and Michelle just said the wrong thing about how they don't know each other, and like that kind of sealed her fate. Dreams wanted to get rid of her so that he would have a more solid position in the Syndicate Alliance. So he wanted the likes of like Earl, Cassandra, Yauman. He wanted them to rely on him more, which they have an extra option with Michelle being there, essentially.
That makes a lot of sense to me. He's, instead of coming in at 5th, he's coming in at 4th at worst. Like he's moving up.
Yeah. So basically he saw the makeup of this tribe and knew that Michelle was a core member of that alliance and wanted to like basically secure himself, like take over for Michelle here. He wants to take her place in the alliance because they do need that number for him. So this is very smart on Dream's part, and I do think that, yes, once I hear that makes sense. That is the correct decision for Dreams to make here. I just wish it wasn't at Michelle's expense.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's sad to see her go, but she did go out. This episode did start with some beautiful shots of her. Her like ponytail was like blowing in the breeze. Yeah, she was giving.
And I'm like, listen, I am on the Michelle Yee hype train. The minute they have second chances too, she is getting all of my votes to return. Even if she's not on the ballot, I will write it. She's my writing candidate. Immediately, expeditiously, we are voting Michelle. We as a collective are voting Michelle Yee to return. But I understand why Dreams made the decision he made, even though I'm still a little salty about it 16 years later. I'm like, but why? Surely this could have worked out. Yeah, no, I was very sad about it. But this is the end of the Michelle Yee experience on Survivor Fiji. She is our merge boot, I guess. She's technically our merge boo, if you want to count this as the merge. Third juror. Also, poor Michelle. She is on a jury currently with Rocky and Lacey. And I gotta say, my hope for her was that Rocky had calmed down a little bit now that he finally got to eat something.
Yeah, that's when Jeff was like, we're bringing in the jurors. I was like, oh, Rocky and Lacey, like poor Michelle.
That's a rough crowd.
Yeah, rough to walk into whatever is going on there. So yeah.
So they were not fun jurors for, I doubt they took their losses very well.
Yeah.
Right. Do we have any final words for Michelle before I read her closing words of the episode?
Michelle, we love you. You served. Like Gia said, she is, I think, on everyone's second chance, like ideal list. And I don't think that's ever changing no matter how many seasons go by between Fiji and now. Just truly, truly robbed. And like, I feel like she's definitely up there at the list of like genuinely robbed by the mechanics of the game players.
Yeah. She was in the power position. She was in a very powerful alliance that seemed poised to take over at the merge, and an unpredictable twist that has never happened since or before came and snuffed her torch. Basically, it was no fault of her own.
Yeah,
and she didn't even get to strategize. It seemed like really targeted. Plus, the way they did the swap with all of the women specifically being split apart, like, come on.
I did not like that. I did not like that one bit. And I'm very sad that that happened, but Michelle was actually a very good sport in her final words. She says, Survivor has been an amazing experience. I think my alliance is a little weaker now that I am not there. Earl is going to have to find himself a new spy, but I think I just affirmed that I know what kind of person I am, and I know that what I am capable of, and that I'm just as strong as I thought. Michelle, icon, you are, and I just need her back on TV immediately. Like, I've been dying for a Second Chances too, like immediately after Second Chances 1 ended. And what a better time than while we are doing this podcast to just let people know that Michelle Yee must be on the list. Must.
I agree. I mean, I'm hoping between Fiji Forever and Vanuatu that the next Second Chance ballot is literally just like the Vanuatu cast and the Fiji cast. These are your choices.
I will
would be so
have a
happy.
list for production. Oh, can you imagine? I feel like of the Fiji cast, I have like a good collection of them that I would love to see play again. Some of them for reasons I can't quite explain just yet because of their spoilers. But there's a good amount of people on this cast that I would love to see return for a second chance. And on the other side of the coin, Vanuatu, I feel like so much of this cast, particularly the merge cast, I'm like, no, I must have them back at some point. Like the fact that we've only gotten 2 returnees from Vanuatu is sacrilege.
Criminal.
Lock
Jeff up. I'm always saying that. He's done so much wrong to all of us. Like he must be punished for his crimes.
I mean, it's talk also more specifically about Fiji. Like, there's only been 1 returnee, and it's like just watching this, you forget. Even the people you forget about are very, very funny TV, and they should be back as well.
100%. Yeah, there's a lot of Rob goddesses on this season, and Michelle, I think, is the most poignant example of that. But even from these early boots, I'm like, yeah, that they got a raw deal on this. I would love to see them return. So it's very sad that we haven't gotten more returnees from Fiji or Vanuatu yet. But I think this is a pretty solid episode for leading into the next episode, which is literally my favorite Survivor episode of all time. So this is a big deal to me. Yeah, the next episode is my favorite of all favorites, and I'm very excited to talk about it.
Yes, that's awesome. That's so exciting. This episode, it made me like remember all the things I love about early Survivor. It's just like that twist really sucks, but I don't know. Still had a lot of fun watching. Still like so many fun characters. It's just it's a shame. As always, I feel like production is like the one putting something wrong into the game. It's never the cast's fault. Rarely is it the cast's fault. It's always production up to some tomfoolery.
Agreed. Are you guys ready for the awards of this episode?
Oh, yes.
A perfect day for it.
Oscar season.
It's Oscar season. Woman King and Viola Davis was robbed. Thank you.
Yes.
Anyway, and we will not have such robberies here.
Yeah, Angela Bassett only now getting an Oscar, like is, but I hope she gets it. Like,
also
whatever.
Sacrilege.
Yeah.
I just think there are some celebrities that I think should just get an Oscar for being. Angela Bassett and Jennifer Coolidge are just top of my list of that. Like, those are the big 2.
Yeah, just thank you for being.
Yeah. You don't need to be in a specific type of movie. We will give this to you.
Yeah.
Simply for
it's like an honorary degree.
Your legacy. Yeah, exactly.
Lifetime Achievement Award.
Yes.
I mean, that's what they did to Rupert at America's Tribal Council.
Can you imagine? Let's vote on an actress that we feel deserves an Oscar.
Ooh.
Just an actress, though. Like, we don't. Yeah.
It would be very unfun during that week.
Yeah.
Oof, that would be a lot. Well, yeah. Let's get to these awards.
Okay,
I feel like these will be less contentious.
Yeah, I think there are some runaways and some that will be a bigger discussion. But yes, okay. So there's only 3, but these first 2 we can each pick our own, and then the final one is a consensus. So best confessional.
Ooh, I'm gonna nominate. Am I nominating or am I awarding
You
it to them?
pick, yeah, you just, for this one and the next one, you just give your vote, like what you think is the best confessional.
I would say Earl's Tribe Within a Tribe was really good. I feel like very succinct.
Yeah.
Just a fun way to describe what's going. I don't like we've heard like people talk about alliances, but I feel like that's just such a great poignant way of putting it. And his special little Earl flair with his happy little smile all the time.
Very true. It's like he knows that he is just so much smarter than the other
Yes.
side.
Yes.
Everybody's just gonna think I copied off the smart girl, but I had the same thing. I mean, the tribe within a tribe thing is the only confessional I wrote down a note about while I was watching the episode. So you gotta give it up to Earl with the hat.
Yes. Very good.
Agreed. I'll make a note specifically Earl with the hat because the hat is notable. I will go with I don't think there's a ton of like standout ones. I do like Michelle's final words, but I haven't really been counting those as like the confessional. So I will say I really like Cassandra's talking about how happy she is that Dreams made the merge. I think that was like a very sweet one, and I think that's even though it doesn't say a ton strategically, I think it speaks to like she is being able to cement herself in these alliances is due in part to, yes, her being very intelligent and knowing what she has to do to get ahead in the game, but she's also just a genuinely nice person. And seeing between her like crying because like Gary is suffering so much in the early episodes of the season and her being so happy to see that Dreams made it to the next round of the game. It's just, I just love Cassandra so much.
Yeah, she's such a sweetie. I love her.
She's a gem. So I will put that in there. All right, next one. Funniest moment.
Ooh.
Easily for me is the reaction shot of Stacy when she hears that they will not be returning to camp to strategize, going straight to tribal council. Peak Survivor moment. So good.
I do
The
like
camera
that one.
physically, it's not just like it's a close up on her face. Like they get the shot exactly as she's reacting to it. The camera is zooming in on her face. It's perfect.
I mean, I'm gonna honestly go for I guess to kind of copy your homework a little, I'm gonna go for another facial reaction, or at least a moment that I was like really pissed that Paramount Plus like doesn't let you screenshot. Because it's when they are talking about how they have to start over on the merged tribe, and like we said, Earl's like just thinks it's funny. Like Earl's face, like he just has this little face that he makes. That I was cracking me up. I was like, I really wish I could just take a screenshot of this right now and just like send it. He was just having a ball out there. Very funny.
I'll try to find it and screenshot it.
It was like yeah, I don't know.
I hate that we can't screenshot from Paramount Plus because I feel like Survivor Fiji has a lot of really like gold confessionals and facial reactions and iconic falls that we just cannot have access to right now.
It's upsetting.
Babes, I can send you the extension I use to
Please.
screenshots of
please
various
do.
things.
Yeah,
It only works on Chrome, but it works for me.
Drop it.
Perfect. Please. Yes. Give me the tea, all of it. I must.
We did it.
I will say this is hard. I will go a similar route, but it's like there's a little story behind it. So I watched the previous episode and I watch all of the scenes from the next episode segments on there, more so for my viewing experience because I know what's going to happen, but I kind of want to see like how they frame it between what they say is going to happen, what I actually know is going to happen. So Michelle has this very funny reaction in the very beginning of the episode that is used in the scenes for the next episode on episode 8. And she says, "We're all going to die." And it's very funny how she says it because it's very comical, but then also it's just like very nonchalant and it's used to build up the dramatics of this mystery merge where they're all required to go to Exile Island. But in reality, when we get to the actual episode, it's still a funny expression, but it's because she's referenced how Boo, Stacy, and Cassandra have not been outside of the nice camp yet, and they are like kind of shocked at and like nervous about the idea that they are going to be living somewhere without all of these luxuries.
Very good.
So
we're all gonna die.
Yeah, so I'll put that. I'm gonna put that. That's another one I would love to screenshot.
Yes.
So I will put that. Dreams had a lot of good moments this episode too, but I can't think of one specifically that I'm like, that was the funniest moment.
Yeah, he had like funny confessionals, but it was just more so his like attitude, and like
Yeah.
I can't think of like a line that he said that was making me like
Yeah.
really crack up, you know? But
Yeah, it was more like just he's in funny situations.
Yeah.
And like
Yes.
he's frustrated. He's like,
living
"Are
in
you
them.
kidding me? Like this is
Yeah.
stupid."
Agreed. All right, the final award. Who wins the episode? Now, this means like this does not have to do anything with what actually happens in the rest of the season. It does not have to indicate like who goes far. It could be the person that gets voted out next if we have a good reason for it. It's just for everything that we have seen this episode, who would we crown as the winner of the episode? And I'll read to you the winners that we have had so far. So episode 1 was the Moto Tribe. That's the only time that we have had a tribe be the winner. And it's just because they got the nice camp and we didn't know what else to really base it on. Episode 2 was Mookie. Episode 3 was Michelle. 4 was Lacey. 5 was Earl. 6 was Cassandra. 7 was Yowman. And then episode 8, we gave Dreams the award. So we are on episode 9 now.
My first response is definitely for Dreams to maintain the award. I feel like he found out information that'll help him make better decisions with which alliance he wants to go with, and the person he voted for went home. So it's like, he's on top of the world.
Yeah, and he's being courted by 2 different alliances. I would have to agree with Dreams, honestly. Like he's in a great position. Go Dreams, go.
I wavered back and forth between a couple people. One is this, I think Earl has just been in a solid position and he didn't have to go to tribal council, but we also saw a lot of good strategic content from him. So I did waver on Earl. I think Cassandra is so well positioned right now. So I also kind of wanted to throw her name out there. She was the most popular girl of the episode. And she didn't have to go to tribal. But even if they did go to tribal, I don't think that she was likely to go at all. But then I keep coming back to like the reasons you guys had said, which were Dreams was very present this episode. He had just celebrated getting out Lacey, who was kind of his arch nemesis of this season. And while he still feels some type of way with Stacy, a lot of good things happened here. He is kind of being offered opportunities on both sides. Mookie told him about the idol, which is not something that, even though Alex and Edgardo did not approve of this, it doesn't matter because the damage is already done. And he can do with that information what he will, which we learn in the scenes from the next episode is tell Earl and Cassandra this information. And again, I love it, which I love. And yeah, like what you said, Sam, the person that he voted for went home. And as we know, while it was not Stacy, who he originally was so excited to finally see leave, he did have a specific reason for voting out Michelle. And I think that while we don't know yet how this is going to work out for him, he has a pretty good line of reasoning for why he would do this. So Dreams our first second time winner of this prestigious award?
Wow,
deserves-
the Sandra Diaz Twine of Fiji Forever.
Oh my god, like Dreams, like I hope he feels like a chill right now. Like he's probably not watching this, but he gets like a little chill of like, oh, like
something shifted.
Something shifted. The universe is sending him good vibes his way. He's our first 2-time winner of this prestigious award. He's won a
deserves it.
bunch of the confessional ones because his confessionals are really great. But
Yeah.
yes.
He's killing it.
Congratulations to Dreams for being our first 2-time winner of the Fiji Forever Winners Award. I have to think of like an actual name for this, but that will be an issue for another day. And thank you both for coming on. I love podcasting with both of you. It's always such a joy. And I'm very happy that we got to do this again and that you guys are willing to go on live video for me. And like, I washed my hair for you guys today. That's how I was excited that I don't do that every day. So I was very excited
Looks
about
beautiful.
this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think this is the first time Derek and I have ever been part of a video podcast, so I'm worried we're gonna lose our listenership now that they've seen what we look like.
I only allow hot
increase.
people to come. Yeah. I only allow hot people to live stream with me, so you're good. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It's a rule.
Speak for yourself, Sam. Like, what the hell? We're really attractive. Like,
I'm just
don't put that on
being
me.
self-deprecating. Come on.
We don't do that
This
anymore.
This is not the podcast to pretend to be humble, Sam. We all know we're hot.
Hello. Like, come on. Look at that face.
Yeah, exactly.
hurts.
Look at the material. Look at that bone structure. Like, we're
Yes.
aware. We're aware. All right. Now once again, thanks you guys for coming on and talking about this very important episode with me. Next episode, we will be talking about my favorite episode of all time, which is It's a Turtle on Survivor Fiji. Such a good episode for so many reasons. If this is not a 5-hour podcast, I have not been doing my job because I could rant about this episode forever. But until then, Sam and Derek, where can people follow you, and what would you two like to promote, either separately or as a unit for the Bitter Jurors?
Well, I guess I can start. You can follow me at RainDereks on Twitter. And you can follow us at Bitter Jurors Pod on Twitter and Instagram. I think we're planning on I don't know, starting up Survivor 44 whenever that starts. I don't think we have anything else in the can between then and now, other than this amazing podcast, which you should listen to. Go listen to our backlog. Catch up on our Cora coverage, everything. We did like a million things last year, so go listen to all of that.
Yeah, definitely. I'd like to echo what Derek said and also say you can follow me at Sam Stanish. I also do a separate podcast called Buffy Boyfriends with my boyfriend who's never seen Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I love Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and so we're going through it episode by episode. We just started season 2, and it's going along swimmingly.
Oh yeah, I was on the finale of season 1, so you can go listen to that.
So true. Gia, are you a Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan?
I feel like you guys are going to shame me if I say my actual answer. I have never seen Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
That's totally fine.
I know.
It's a spoiler-free podcast, so it's perfect for people like you who are new to the forum.
I'll have to get into it. So there is a select list of shows in my head that are off the air, like they have been done for a while, that I know I would be obsessed with if I actually sat down and watched them, but I have to actually get to that point where I sit down and watch them. And Buffy the Vampire Slayer is on there, as is the X-Files, as is the Addams Family, like the original version and stuff. So I need to actually like sit down and watch them. It's just unfortunate that I have not gotten to that point yet. But now I have a reason to, because then I can watch an episode and then listen to your podcast.
And we also welcome non-fans on for certain episodes. So perhaps you'll be scoring an invite sooner than you think.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Gia, for having us, as always. And we always love, go listen to our episodes that Gia's been on Bitter Jurors before.
Many times.
Please educate yourselves if you weren't aware and go listen to those amazing episodes.
I have to say, like, I am a big Legend of Korra fan, so that is it's always a good time podcasting with you two, but like specifically to people listening, go treat yourself, go watch Legend of Korra, like the whole series, enjoy it. Love the bisexual energy that just radiates off the entire cast, and then listen to us talk about it on all of their coverage of going through Legend of Korra, because it's a great series, guys. It's great.
Absolutely.
And my final thing I'd like to plug is Silent Podcasts and Fiji Forever. Stay
Hell
listening.
Yes.
Thank you. So you guys, everyone, you guys can follow me at Classically Gia on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok for all of my reality TV shenanigans. I have started getting back into TikTok again. Finally, I stopped being a lazy piece of shit and started doing things again. But so I'm trying to get more active. So go follow me, show me some support, and if I don't do something great, just lie anyway and say that I did well. I don't take feedback well anyway. And then also, again, this is a Survivor podcast about a very diverse season. So you should be following the Survivor Diversity campaign on Twitter at Serve Diversity. That's at SURV Diversity. I am in the off season right now with Survivor content, including my podcast, I Don't Know About That, and the Inside Survivor coverage that I do with the newly engaged Christine Palin, an icon, a legend, all of that. And so we will be back with both of those coverage on in March, because Survivor 44 premieres on March 1st. So sometime after that, we will be back with some content. And finally, Abbott Elementary is back, as are me and Chappelle on post-show recaps, talking about all of the episodes on a bi-weekly basis. It has been so much fun. Abbott Elementary is winning all of the awards and has been renewed for season 3. We also want to be renewed for season 3. So please go listen, give us 5 stars, and tell everyone how funny and charming and attractive and inspirational we are. All of those things. Or just a few if you just want to sprinkle in your own compliments. But again, I don't take criticism well. So just, be nice, please. But thank you guys all so much for listening and following and being a part of Fiji Forever. This is a really special experience for me, and I'm really happy that I have had so many people interested in being a part of this podcast, and that podcasters that I enjoy talking with, like the Bitter Jurors, that I hold in such a high regard, that we're able to talk about these episodes and just have a really great time. Next episode is going to be a big one. It's my favorite Survivor episode of all time. It is a game changer in more ways than one. So stay tuned, and we will be back with content very shortly.